Hello, hello.
What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up?
Man, good to see you. You're looking good.
I feel good, bro. Been going to the gym.
Yeah,
Hey, that was a good interview with you and Angelo. I got to tell you, I don't care what Rob says, even though I don't know the guy, he speaks well, man. You know what I mean?
I like Angelo. I think he carries himself with a lot of respect and knowledge of the club and I like him. I like him.
And, bro, who gives a fuck what anybody says about him? You know what I'm saying?
Ex-
If they could say all they fucking want about him, like he didn't fight, he didn't do this. How do you know? You weren't there. Look at me, bro. 15 years, and he said, Pee-wee's a rat. Pee-wee's a rat. So,
Not just that. You're literally the godfather of Hell's Angels in Las Vegas. You are a legend of my time in Las Vegas. Like you did so much for the club. And look at what they did to you. And they just smoked
right.
you up. It's
They turned on me like in 3 months. In 3 months' time, they turned on me.
it's so crazy. And the wild thing is because you fought who's considered the enemy at your son's wedding. like
Right. Right.
like you walk out of the wedding, boom, they're standing in front of you. What are you gonna do? You're gonna take care of business right on the spot.
It's just what we did, bro.
And it,
Yeah.
it just it your story is just the craziest thing. It's ah, like y'all just don't like real Hell's Angels in the club. Huh? Is that what it is?
Well, I see like a lot of weird things is like, I just wrote this book and it should be coming out in the next couple weeks, hopefully. And I put in there, that one man, one vote doesn't work, and it doesn't work. I don't care. Angelo says it. Then I seen Flash did an interview too. You know what I mean? He say one man, one vote. Listen, bro, they say that, but nobody stays on the same page. So if we're in a room with 12 guys, you're in a room with 12 guys, and six of the guys say yay, and the other four say nay. You know what I mean? Or the other six don't want to roll with it. It don't get done.
Right.
So, believe it or not, like I said in my book, you almost need a dictatorship. You need somebody to go, hey, no, fuck it. This is the way we're doing it. Just get it done.
Yeah. That's what
He's
Rob
pretty
told.
much,
That's
yeah,
what
Angelo's right. Angelo's right. As a president, you really have no power to say anything. You know what I mean? Even though in my charter, I tell them to do shit, they did it.
well, your charter was that's a wild bunch. That's a wild bunch. You had cornbread, who's like a
No,
bouncer.
cornbread was in the other charter.
Oh, was he?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I love it. And Cornbread was a friend of mine, and I brought him to Vegas, and I got him in the Hell's Angels, but I couldn't bring him in the charter with me because he was too much of a bully, man. And
Yeah.
I watched him sucker punch so many people in the face. I was just like, man, I told him over and over, Cornbread, you got to stop, man. Somebody's going to shoot you one of these days.
Right.
And then I started having Hell's Angels come to me, tell me, hey, where's Cornbread live?
Yeah.
And I'd say, why? Why? And I don't want to mention this guy's name. He's a moron. He says, well, I'm going to kill him. And I said, you piece of shit. You just involved me in your shit. And it
Right.
wasn't anything bad about cornbread or me trying to do it. I just don't want to be involved in it. But
Right.
now I am because you told me about it.
Right.
So if somebody asked me, hey, Peewee, did you hear that? I'd have to say yes because you
Yeah.
can't lie.
So you've done A&E special.
Yeah, I
I
did it. And yeah, I don't even know when it's going to air. He said 3 to 4 weeks, and that was about 2 weeks ago.
cool. I'm waiting for it. I am absolutely
I
on.
don't, I don't even know, Rick, what it's called.
I'm sure we'll figure it out. I just watch A&E to see, you know, uh, it shouldn't be too hard to figure out. But man, when we first started talking, I think our first conversation was like 3 hours long, and we
Yeah,
I consider you a friend. Like I love talking to you about just thing, right? But the club story, bro. How can how do you have these people that like Flash? You said Flash. These are solid Hell's Angels. Like what?
And you know what, Flash, it really hurt me too because I figured I was really close to Flash, and I knew both of his kids. And matter of fact, I was one that bought him a pin for one of his anniversaries out of my own pocket. My charter didn't pay for it; I paid for it, and I bought it for him because I thought he deserved that. And now look, he's been in the club 56 years, man. I mean, that's a phenomenal thing right there.
Yeah.
But then I heard people saying that he was saying shit about me, and that really broke my heart. I didn't think he'd, run his mouth about that bullshit, but because it didn't seem like it'd be him. No
You,
facts, no chat.
it depends on who's telling you that he did, though. Also,
Right.
yeah,
That's another thing too. Like I said, yeah, the world of gossip on that club is phenomenal. The outreach, the fingers, the tentacles that go out to what you get back is sometimes you shake your own hand and go, "Whoa, what the fuck, man?"
yes, it's a
So,
it's a wild scene, and it used to be different. I think it's as they're pushing out all the lifers like you and like Doc and people like this. It's like I
I
think
couldn't believe, bro. I couldn't believe that about Doc. I knew Doc very well. I
it just
couldn't believe it. And all bullshit aside, the reason that he was thrown out, and I really don't know. I just went by what I heard. Angel said he heard.
right.
It makes sense. I mean, bro, that's the stupid shit they're throwing people out for. And I'm trying to think. Well, there was another guy, Howie from Arizona, that was there with Sonny, and they booted him out. He had quite a few years in. And Junior, I'm trying to think who else. Doc, there was a guy named, I don't know if you ever saw that movie. Did you ever see that movie, Hell's Angels Forever?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you ever see the part where the one guy's got the long hair and he says, I came to one of their meetings and I walked in and a guy pointed a gun at me and says, you get the fuck out, you get out, and who are you? And he goes, my name's Rick and I want to join your club. Well, I was at his 40-year anniversary, and right after that, they threw him out.
It's insane.
Yeah, they're always afraid that I was going to start up some kind of motorcycle club. Why would I even involve myself in that shit anymore? But
Yeah.
if I was to start one, it would be all the ex-members out of the club. That'd be a couple thousand right there.
And some really righteous dudes too. A lot of righteous dudes. So
Yeah. Yeah. A lot, I'm sure there's a lot of pieces of shit too. You know what I mean? I mean, for instance, like in my book, you'll see it, bro. In my charter alone, when I got out, the stuff that I found out about these characters that were in my charter. That's why I say in my book, be careful about who you're standing next to and talking to and patting on the back saying, hey, bro, what's up? Because that guy might be an informant. I had one guy that was in my club, in my charter, that after the charter fell apart, shit, he's a cross-dresser. He's a transgender.
I know.
Then I had another one. Yeah, I know. I told you all about it, bro. And I was just like, what? And yeah, another one had a lewd and lascivious act. I had Mr. George, the rat. And I say that even though I don't have paperwork on the guy, but I've heard it from 4 other different Hells Angels. So
Yeah.
I knew he was. And I heard it from the investigator doing the interviews about the wedding chapel.
Right. See, and that's big right there because George wasn't involved in that Rico. George, for some reason, did not show up to his president's
He,
son's wedding.
he said he overslept. He said he thought it was 1 o'clock, not 12 o'clock. Yeah, that's what I said.
Unreal. But people like Mondo from Denver. show up for the wedding, to pay respects to you, and your own vice president just doesn't show up. The
Well,
whole thing.
right, but there was another time, Rick, that I can say is now I don't even care. There was another time that um, there was a bar called the Sand Dollar. It's still there,
I know the sand.
and right, and a lot of people hung out there. I never did. I never liked the place, but I'm trying to think. There was the Banditos were there one night, and the Outlaws were there partying with them. Well, we showed up, and we were in the back of the parking lot, and we all got out of two vehicles. And as we were walking up front to take care of the business, a Suburban rolls through the parking lot, and a helicopter flies over with a spotlight, and it went over us. And then the Suburban stopped, and the guy inside goes, "Hey, how you fellas doing?" And I told the guy, "Get lost." And as he drove away, I looked, I saw United States government plates on the vehicle.
Huh.
And I said, abort this whole mission, man. The feds are on to this. So we all went back to the cars to leave. George. And I couldn't reach him for 3 days. And when I finally got a hold of him, I says, "Where the hell were you, man? We were on a mission. We needed you." And he goes, "Oh, I had a babysit, watch my kid." He came up with some bullshit, but.
What about the time that he tried to put you on that motorcycle that got pulled over?
Yeah, with the machine gun in it. Yeah, that was probably his most classical move right there.
Ooh.
Him and his buddy, Jay Dobbins.
Man.
Because Jay Dobbins is one that put it in there.
So tell us about Jay Dobbins from your own experience. Tell us about that guy.
He's a total goon. And as Angelo said, he never made it in the club. And nobody ever really has made it in the club that was an undercover cop that prospected and made it into the club. That's true. They didn't. Like when I prospected in 94, I had to take a lie detector test. I'd hang around from 91 to 94 before they got to know me. Then I got a rocker.
Right.
So after they do a background check on you, after I did a lie detector test, so it's not as easy as people think it is to get in there. And like George Christie tells everybody, this was before my time, that's why I'm using George. The only guy that I know of, brother, is the guy from Alaska, the Tony Tate, that piece of shit. He was in the Hells Angels already, and he called up and said, "Hey, I'm in the club. I can help you guys. Let me work for you." I mean, who the fuck does that?
Wow.
But that's what he did. So you can't consider, him a cop before. He got in when he was in the club.
Right. He's a rat.
Right. He's still a rat. Yeah, and yeah, he set all kinds of people up.
Wow. So
and I just heard a story today about, I don't even want to mention the guy's name, but he's out of the club now. He quit, and he saw a Hell's Angel in his charter get killed from a Mongol or something. And I just heard today on the phone, a guy called me and told me, yeah, he's in the witness protection since he quit because he's going to testify against that Mongol, which, even though they're enemies, it's still bad. You can't do that. So this guy, if you would have seen him, I don't want to describe him. He looked like a crazy son of a bitch. You know what I mean? He was tattooed everywhere, his whole face, everywhere. He's just, when I looked at him, and he was well built, you know what I mean? And he looked like a bad dude.
Yeah.
And I hung around with him quite often, and he took care of business. And I just can't believe that he's doing this. Or if he is doing it, it could be hearsay again, but.
Or it could just be.
Yeah, I just heard it today that they're making threats to him, so he went into witness protection. I was like, holy fuck.
Wow. So you knew Sonny. Sonny was basically, you were like Sonny's protege in the club for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, I've had many very, very, very good, intelligent talks with Sonny, and he told me a lot of things. I learned a lot from him, and we would just sit and shoot the shit in Sturgis for hours, and he would tell me so much club history. It was unbelievable.
And,
And
and you tell the Banditos Sturgis story for everybody with Sonny. Wasn't it the Banditos?
oh, yeah, it was the Banditos on, and like I said, a bunch of those guys were my friends. I had a guy that was a Bandito. He lived outside of Rapid City. He's not in the club anymore. His name was Animal. And I mean, I could go out there and get his lawnmower, go borrow anything from him, and he was that cool. You know what I mean? And we got along. But who's got the bigger balls and the bullpen? So they were like messing with people with support shirts, and we kept hearing it all day long. Oh, I just got stopped by some bandits that, this and that. And they told us to take the shirts off. And finally I looked at Sonny. I said, hey, man, we got to do something about this, man. This is getting out of control. We're over here selling support shit, and they're telling people to take it off. So we got everybody together. There was only like about 14, 15 of us. And once again, yeah, one of our famous rats in the club. Now this is a bona fide rat. I seen the paperwork on this one. So, we're getting ready to walk down there, and me being a felon, I can't carry a gun, so I just took a big old knife with me, and I figured, hey, some of us are probably going to be killed tonight and not come back. But that's how serious I knew this was going to be. So we all got ready to go, and I look over at this Mike guy. They called him Mesa Mike. And at the time, he was in San Fernando Valley, and he was putting on a bulletproof vest. And it was like one of those light-colored white ones, those real light ones that you always see the pigs wearing underneath their shirts.
Oh.
So I looked at him, and I said, where'd you get that bulletproof vest? He said, I bought it at a rummage sale. And, Rick, there's a lot of times I can honestly say the only thing I have to apologize for being in a club is sometimes being just stupid. You know what I mean? That I didn't catch on the thing. Maybe because I just wanted to believe in everybody, and everybody was a brother, and we're all doing good, and we're all good with each other. Maybe that's why I overlooked it. But I didn't think two things of it. I saw the bulletproof vest, and he pulled two guns out, put them in his pants. And I says, well, why don't you give one of those guns to somebody else? And he goes, oh, no, they're registered to me. I got to hang on to these. I said, oh, all right. So we walked down the alley, and it was a shitty rainy night. We got wet. By the time we got to Gunner's Bar, the Banditos had the whole bar. I mean, there had been 80, 90 of them in there. And we walked up, and that punk Mesa Mike says, I'll stay out here outside the door in case anybody comes running out. And I'm like, fucking whatever, man. So my main thing was to watch Sonny's back. So I walked in behind Sonny. I was like 2 feet behind him. And we walked in the bar all the way to the back, all the way to the front, all the way to the back, all the way to the front. I think Sonny was just doing that to show him, that we could walk through the front to the back, as many times as we want. So when we got to the front, everybody's standing around kind of looking. There was a couple of the bandits, like I said, I know them very well. And it was an uncomfortable feeling because, I really, in my heart, didn't want to get it on with these guys because they were my friends, but that's part of being a part of the club.
Yeah.
Sonny turns and he says, who's in charge here? And this guy steps up and he says, well, I'm the national VP. I could talk to you. What's up? And Sonny said to him something like, we came up here because we're sick and tired of you guys saying shit about the support shirts to people. So we came up here to take care of it. We came up here to paint the town red. So Why don't you try to kill me? I'll kill you. Let's get it on. And it was weird because the dude just looked at him and said, what? Like, what'd you just say? And, it totally took me off guard too. I was just standing there, and all of a sudden, crack outside the lightning, and the lights went off in the building. And all you could hear was guns locking and loading. I whipped my knife out because I thought I was going to start getting stabbed in the dark.
Yeah.
And
I would have been like,
I'm telling you right now. I mean, literally, I got like goosebumps. It was a fucked up feeling, man. And the lights came right back on. Maybe 60 seconds. Boom, lights were back on. Everybody's kind of standing around looking at each other, and everybody's got like knives in their hands, guns, and we're all looking like, what the fuck? one of the bandits that I know, he looked right at me and he goes, hey, Peewee. And I looked at him and I wanted to nod my head and say, hey, what's up? But you want to keep your frame of mind right, Rick, because you in about a minute here, you might be getting down with the dude. And I don't want to be saying to him, hey, sorry about this, man,
Hey, feeling bad.
So I didn't say nothing, bro. So I just shut my mouth and I just stood there. And then Sonny repeated himself again, exactly what I told you he said the first time. He said it again. And all of a sudden, the guy says, oh, hey, wait a minute. George just walked in. Now, that was their national president, this short or chubby fat guy from Washington, which, I saw him on Gangland, and he was telling this story. Yeah, we had a meeting with Sonny and stuff, and I think one of my guys slapped him and knocked him on his ass. I was thinking to myself, I don't even know why he would say some bullshit like that on Gangland or anything, because, I mean, a bullshitter's a bullshitter, bro. And I don't even got a bullshit about anything. And if they would have slapped Sonny and knocked him on his ass, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you right now because it would have been bloodshed.
Yeah.
We would have been slashing and gashing and shooting. It would have been horrible.
Yeah.
So nobody slapped Sonny on my skin. So Sonny, being the smart guy he is, he says, hey, George, I need to talk to you right now. And he says, come on, Sonny, over here, sit in the booth here. We got some room in the booth. So they sat in the booth, and I'm kind of standing there. And a couple of guys were standing next to me, and then he had a bunch of his guys standing there. And then Sonny turns to me real weird, and he says, okay, Peewee, go outside and wait for me. I'll be right out there. And I kind of stood there for a minute, and I said, what? The fuck are you talking about? And he goes, go outside and wait for me. I'll be right out there. Now, in my head, there's no way I'm going to fucking walk out of here and leave the chief in here with all these guys. This is fucking nuts. Why is he? I don't know why he's doing this. And he looks at me and goes, go, please, man. So I don't want to make it look like, like we're all unorganized bunch of idiots. So I says, fuck it. I turned to the guys. I said, let's go outside, man. He wants us to go outside. And then when they got outside, they said to me, what? Why are we out here? And I said, I don't know. And we waited a little bit. It started raining a little harder. And all of a sudden, Sonny comes walking out the door, and all the bandits by the door are going, hey, Sonny, how's it going? And he's like, hey, like that to him. And he yells out, how he always has to hold his throat, and he yells out, hey, these guys don't want to fight us. They want to be us. And it was kind of funny the way he said it, bro. Because the guys at the door were all like, huh? And I just stood there for a minute. I just kind of chuckled and laughed. And then he walked up. He says, come on, let's go someplace, have some fun. And then we all walked away and left with Dickhead Mason Mike behind us.
Of course.
Yeah. But that weekend, Rick, he was exposed. He got exposed that weekend because when we got back to my shop, I was standing out on the deck, out up on the top of the deck, and I was talking to another member. And I guess there was some kid, high school kid, playing with his girlfriend between the trailers, kissing or finger banging or whatever he was doing. Mike walks by, Mason Mike, and he says, hey, Save some of that for me.
Oh
Now
no.
check it out. Check it out. The kid who's in high school runs out and starts kicking Mike's ass.
Good.
Oh yeah. I was standing there, I saw it, bro. So I'm standing there watching Mike getting his ass kicked. So Cornbread was a prospect. Paul and I'm trying to think of the third guy's name. My mind's leaving me. But it'll come to me in a minute. And the third guy, they all ran over there and they pulled the guy off of Mesa Mike. Mike got up and he started running up the street. Now I'm standing there, bro. I could see this whole thing. A cop pulls a gun out and points it right in his face and yells, "Freeze, motherfucker," loud enough for me to hear it. And I'm looking right at him and I see the gun in his face. He has his hands up and he says something. I don't know what he said. The cop lowers the gun and Mike takes off running. I turned to the member next to me. I said, "Did you just fucking see that?" And he goes, "Yeah." I said, "Well, I don't know what the hell he could have said to walk away from that." So after a little bit, all of a sudden he comes running in the back door and he's, "Hey, brother, I got away, man. I got away. They almost had me." And I said, "Nah, they had you, bro. They had you at gunpoint right out in front of the yard. I seen it. You said something, and then they let you go and you ran. What'd you say to him? You ready for this?" He said that when the cop told him, "Freeze, motherfucker," he said, "Go fuck yourself," and he ran off.
Zero chance. Zero chance.
I'm going to go with you on that one, bro.
So
I'm going to go with you on that one.
you know this because you were arrested for a brawl in on the run up there, on that northern run, and that's why you weren't in Laughlin when Laughlin happened, because you were sitting in jail in Sturgis.
Yeah, that was for an incident I did in Sturgis. Yeah.
Yeah.
They gave me some time in Sturgis, and the morning that I was released from Sturgis jail was the morning of the Laughlin shooting. So that's why I wasn't there. But I probably would have been shot there. You know what I mean? I'm an easy target. But
yeah.
But I would say that I put a bunch of those stories in my book, so it'll be pretty good. But
And
I just leave people's name out of it. You know?
Yeah. What's the name of your book going to be?
It's got to be the best. Brotherhood, the greatest lie ever told. Because there's one thing I learned about it, Rick, is when I see a member that had a ton of years in and he had to leave the club because of a burial thing, it broke his heart, man. He had tears in his eyes. I remember when he told me he was leaving, and I mean, my heart was broke to see him go, but he didn't want a Hell's Angel funeral, and he wanted a private one with his family. And I can understand that, you know, if that's what he wanted. So he told me he had to quit the club just to get that kind of funeral. And I remember when he was ready to walk out the door, he had tears in his eyes. He was crying because just as much as when I left the club, it's something that you love the most, you know, and you're leaving it. And I remember I grabbed a hold of him and I said, "Hey, bro, you always be my brother, you know." Gay as it sounds, I mean, he's an old timer, you know, and I gave him a kiss just like if he was my father, right on the lips, you know. And I said, "Hey, I love you, bro. I always will, man." And he left, and he died a month and a half later. And I heard somebody walk into the clubhouse and say, "Hey, so and so died." I just shook my head and I said, "Man, that was a good fucking dude right there, man." And I heard somebody say, "Fuck him. Who cares? He's out of the club. He quit." And I was like, "Wow, man."
I mean,
all that time he did in the club for what? For nothing?
That's how they
And then I seen it. Right. That's right. That's how they do it. And then I seen another guy that quit because of his daughter. He left because he wanted to be a good father, which is understandable. He was like I, raised without a father, so he wanted to be a good one. And he quit. And I remember the same thing. And this one, you already know this guy, Mr. Tough Guy, the guy who stabs people when he's laying on the ground, when they're laying on the ground. Yeah, Mr. Johnny Boy. He was standing at this clubhouse, and somebody said that other guy quit that night. He quit that night. And I said, "Oh man, I wish you wouldn't have quit." You know, I wanted to talk to him first. But he did what he did. I still talk to him. He's still my brother. I still talk to him, and we're still great friends and brothers. And
Well,
but
when
when they heard that he quit, the Johnny Boy goes, "Fuck that faggot. He quit. Who cares?" See, that's the bullshit I'm talking about when I say no brotherhood, because they don't take it as serious as they should, and it's just. I think what their problem is for the club, and don't get me wrong, because I love being a Hell's Angel, man. I think they're getting away from the concept of what they really were all about and why they were about. And I hate to see them, lose that. And now look at Vegas, how messed up it is.
it's gone, the Vagos have it. It's a green.
I know, bro, and I was there. I was there to start Vegas. Then I started Sin City, and every time I had meetings with those guys, it wasn't about what they wanted. It was about what I wanted.
Right, but you had a charter though, Peewee. You had some. You had
Well,
some.
you know what it was. You know what it was, though, Rick. It wasn't as so much the charter. Believe it or not, yeah, my son could get down and fight, and there was a couple other ones that could, but most of them seriously couldn't. But you know what it was? A showing of manpower. You know what I mean? Believe me, bro. Most of the time when we would show up to any kind of event where something was going to go down, I'm going to be honest with you. I was the guy who stepped out front, and I was the one throwing the punches.
You were the first one in the wedding chapel to land a punch on anybody. You led your crew the whole way, and everybody tried to crucify you. And isn't that the point of being a Hell's Angel? When you walk out of your son's wedding and see Mongols in front of you, you get off where you're mad at. And they crucified you. What are you doing? What do you mean, what am I doing?
Yeah, I don't think the club in itself crucified me. They knew I had to do what I had to do, and I did it. And I do it again tomorrow the same way. I think it's just that the club keeps saying they threw me out. They never threw me out. I quit. And the reason I quit is because 12 guys in my room, I said to them, "Hey, you guys think that I said the wrong thing to the cops?" And I was the guy they always came to. "Hey, Peewee, the cops are here. Will you go talk to them?" So how come all of a sudden I turn into a moron and I don't know how to talk to cops anymore? Like Sonny said, "Peewee, I heard the tape. All you were was being yourself." And it's true, Rick. That's all I was being myself.
Right.
So I said, "Do you guys believe that I disrespected this club in any way?"
Mm-mm.
And 7 out of the 12 raised their hand and said, "Yeah." So I stood up. I took my patch off. I laid it on the table, and I says, "Well, then I don't belong here anymore." And they said, "You're kidding, right?" And I said, "No, I'm not kidding." I says, if you guys don't believe in me, I don't belong here. And it was like the longest, hardest walk I took, man, from upstairs out that door to my bike. And as I walked out there, man, yeah, I'm not going to lie to you. I had tears in my eyes. I was thinking, man, I just gave up one of the biggest things in my life that I loved, that I gave so much away, and there was no turning. You can't turn back and say, "You know what? I changed my mind."
Yeah.
Because the part that broke my heart with Sonny, he called me and he said, "Why did you quit?" And I said, "Because they didn't believe in me, bro." And he says, "Listen, you did nothing wrong. Give me 6 months and I'll have you right back to where you were. Everything will be all right. Please, just give me some." And I said, "Okay." So I didn't say nothing. He would call me. He would talk to me for like two months went on. Then I started hearing the Pee-wee's a rat. Pee-wee snitched on us. It was a video surveillance. I didn't have to tell on anybody.
Yeah.
So then who the fuck told on me?
Right.
It was the Mongol that told on me.
Yeah.
So
one of them was a cop.
What broke? Huh?
One of them was a Fed, right? One of them was a cop.
Yeah, that was one my son Brad punched.
Yeah.
But I heard him. I heard him coming in the door, and he says, "Where the fuck do you think you're going?" And Brad laid him out, man. But that's part of being undercover, man. That's the risk you take. But that's why they send him to prison for 15 months, and he
Yep.
does the most crying about it.
Right. They sent
But
you.
but
They sent you to prison. They sent Brad to prison. Both of you only used your fist when you walked out into a situation where you're like, there's no time to think about something like that. There,
no, you just got to get down.
it's time to start, getting after it. You both only used your hands, and you guys got the longest sentences, I think, out of everybody.
Right. And it's like I make a joke about it because when I walked up that dude, he reached in his pocket real quick and I didn't know what he was grabbing. And that's why I started lighting him up. And then I saw a big knife fall on the ground and he reached for it and I grabbed him a headlock and pretty much that was about the last thing he remembered. But
So when you
but
left,
the point I want to tell you was after the 3 months and I kept hearing that shit talk about me, Sonny called me. He goes, "Hey, man, I want you to come to OM." I said, "Listen, bro, I decided I'm not coming back." And he goes, "Why?" And I said, "If those guys can talk shit about me, I'll be fighting every one of them every time I see one of them for running their mouths because that's just the way I am."
yep,
So he says, "So you don't want to come back?" And I says, "No, I don't want to come back. Not to a bunch of shit talkers, throwing mud on me, man." I said, "That's bullshit. After everything I've done," I said, "Fuck it. No, I ain't coming back." And this is what he said to me. "Well, there's no reason for you and I to ever talk again then." He hung up and that was it. That's why when everybody felt bad when he died and they were hitting me up, I said, "Hey, we said our goodbyes a long time ago."
yeah, yeah, and it's a it's a terrible thing because I know for a fact that you would have wanted to be at Sonny's funeral, the same way that little Stevie was at Bob V's and Bob V's wife's funeral, right? Like,
Right,
and
right.
he was thrown out of the club and called all kinds of thises and that's for what happened with him and 187. But these are you guys formed this bond, you and Sonny and little Stevie and Bob V, and that's got to be the hardest thing in the world where it's national news. Your friend just died, and there's nothing you can do.
Yeah, and I'm going to tell you too, man. Bob V he was a great member and a great guy. I mean, just one of the most respected Hells Angels that I respected. Every time I saw Bob, I loved seeing Bob. He was just a great guy, So I never saw him because I was already gone when they kicked him out of the club. But I know that had to break his heart, man. Just like Doc and Rick Tabbitt and some of these other guys, man, their whole lives, Junior. That's all they know is being a Hell's Angel. That's all they know.
Yeah. And ultimately, the reason why they turned your status from out good to out bad was when you went out, you gave up the clubhouse, which was in your name. The LLC was also in your name. All the profits for all of that was all in your name, and you gave that to them, and you owned most of the Sturgis T-shirt selling operation, right?
Well, there's three owners. There was three owners on the shop out there. And I was like the main one. I had that shop since 1995. And then I got Frisco going with me and this piece of shit, George from Lowell. He went in with me and he tried to like steal everything after I quit. But everything in the shop was mine. Pretty much all the work that was done in there was done by me. And the sad part was basically they told me to get fucked and they didn't pay me for my share of it.
And that's what they
So
put bad because if they put you out bad, they don't have to buy you out I mean, and that's a lot of money. I don't know if you want to say the amount, but it's a lot of money that it would have taken for them to buy you out of your share of that. But if they put you out, they don't have to pay you.
correct,
That's
correct.
that's the worst thing in the world. It's like uh, they throw these jackets on such good men. You're probably one of the most decent people I've come across and talked to when it comes to this lane, right? You treat me so good, Pee Wee, and you don't have to. It's just who you are. You're a good dude. You're a solid dude. You've always done what's right. And at the end of the day, over money, they tried to smut you up, but I got that. I got your back, Pee Wee.
I know you do, bro. And you know, it's funny over all these years, all the people that I have met in that club that are out now, they still call me. So many of them call me as soon as they leave that club and they go, "Hey, bro," and you know, first thing I say to them is, "Oh, you couldn't talk to me before?" And they go, "Well, no, I was in the club, I couldn't do that." You know,
Yeah.
I understand, but now I've got probably on my phone probably like well over 150 of them on there that call me out of the wild blue and ask what I'm doing, what's going on, and
I mean,
you know what I mean? Some of them got to go on to other lives. There's some of them that like got to get into another club or I don't know what it is, man. I don't see it, but I
uh,
just do my own thing. You know what I mean?
it's the air around you. It is who you are. You are this life. You are. You're
Well, you know what, Rick? You know what I think about Rick that makes me proud? My daughter told me this one time. We were in a clubhouse, and there was a member from Canada there. I don't remember them. I don't remember who it was, but he was a member from Canada, and he was at our clubhouse at Sin City, and he was talking to my daughter. And then later, when they all left, my daughter says to me, "Hey, Dad, that Hell's Angel from Canada?" And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "He thinks the world of you." And I said, "Oh, well, that's nice." She says, "He told me that you treat him the same as a member as you did when he was a prospect. No different. You don't change." And I said, I don't change.
right.
I never yelled at prospect. I would never make you do anything that I wouldn't do, bro. And if I had you out there in the backyard and there's 110 out digging a ditch, I'd get back out there and dig the ditch with you, you know?
Yes. Yes. There were.
And that's what a lot of people don't do.
I've heard stories from other former Hell's Angels that have said that they have witnessed you get onto Cornbread about like bullying a prospect one time or something. They saw you. I can't remember the exact because it was just a little something that they had said. Oh, I saw Pee Wee get on Cornbread one time and say, "Hey, man, look, you're not going to do that in front of me." And I was like, "See, that's who Pee Wee is. You know, it's
Yeah, I try to tell Cornbread, man, I says, this bully shit. And he wasn't like that before. So I don't know why all of a sudden he changed. But that's that thing that comes, Rick, where they tell you, don't change when you get your patch. Stay the guy you are. Or the club, you know, like I would turn around and say, "Hey, I'm going to bring him back up for his patch because he ain't the same guy we voted for." Some of these guys, when they get the patch, you know, they think they grew 6 inches or 10 inches and put on another 200 pounds.
yes,
Well, bro, I was 6'8", 450, so I was the King Kong Bundy, you know. Now I'm down to 310, so I'm losing it.
So the smut, they tried to follow the smut all the way to the prison yard on High Desert with you.
Oh
And
yeah, they did.
the youngsters, not knowing any better, because Rebel never made that call. And Rebel got after the ones who made the call on you because it wasn't a good call. The club had basically gotten it into everybody's head that there's smut on Pee Wee to where the youngsters, the young woods on the yard, tried to move on you.
Well, I told you the DA, the broad.
Mm-hmm.
She walked out when she walked outside and the cameras were out there in the newspapers and she said, "Well, the ex-president of the Hells Angels was convicted. He's going to prison. Da, da, da. He was kicked out of the Hells Angels for making police statements." She said that because when I walked by her, she was laughing when they put me in the handcuffs to take me away. And as I walked by her, I just went, "Cunt." You know what I mean? And she went, "What?" And they freaked out and she got me back, bro. She got me back better than I got her. I'll tell you that. Because
Yeah,
nobody heard me call her a cunt, but god damn, man.
and it's
Everybody's seen in the paper that she put in there, I was kicked out for making police statements.
and that's it. And then everybody's waiting on you to get there. Rebels up in
Yep.
Ely. So the powers that be are all up in Ely. And literally it's the young new guys that are all running high desert at the time. And then Rebel came back down. But by then, they had already put the move on.
Right. I was getting close again. I was coming up on 3 years anyway, so
Right. So
I was thinking,
who tries to come in the comments and say anything about the prison yard, I talked to Rebel. I talked to everybody. It was a bad call, and it was bullshit. Smut from the cops and the prosecutors, and they did
right.
a number on you, and then they tried to give you a deal to get out.
Yeah, the deal, that's why I laughed when I saw that thing with Angelo doing when he says that the feds come and they hang around. They never really came around my house, and they never really bothered me on the street or haven't bothered me since. But they did come to the prison, and they told me they could get me out and give me some money if I would just tell them what they want to know about the Hells Angels. And, the famous was, we don't want you to snitch on anybody. We just want you to tell us how they work, how you do this, how you do it. I just said, fuck it. I ain't about all that,
Yeah.
And the Fed said right to me, hey, man, we listen to their phone calls. They're talking all kinds of shit about you. I went, who cares? I ain't going to do it for them. I ain't going to do it for you. I'm doing it for me.
That's right.
And then they said, so they were from Louisville, Kentucky. I'll never forget it. So I said, too bad you came all this way for nothing. And they said, well, all right. And even when I stood up and pushed my chair in, they put their hands out. I didn't even shake their hands. And I walked out the door. And like I told you, I was already like 26 months into my prison sentence. And Johnny Merchant was the one that Johnny got felony battery with potential bodily harm with a weapon because he stabbed the guy, 2 people. So I'm sure he was going to do more time than the rest of us, but Johnny did 18 months and he got out. And I thought, wait a minute, it was the same time those feds were there.
Yeah.
So maybe Johnny took that good guy deal. I don't know. I was there another 5 months after he was gone.
That's crazy. And you only used your hands.
Right.
So, I mean, obviously this all took a toll on you though. It
took a toll on me, Rick, the most, I would say. Just the hurt inside of everything I gave the club, you know what I mean? And then just to hear him talk shit about me, I was like, where I'd be a kind of guy standing in a bar situation, and if another team walked in that wasn't welcome and the shit went down, they would even have to hesitate to know that I would just get down, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now with all the shit talking they do, I just turn to them and tell them, good luck, fuckers, and I'd walk out,
Yeah. It's crazy. And just the amount of knowledge and Hell's Angeling that you had, and they just, for money and probably politicking by George to get the clubhouse to raise their hand on you.
Yeah, well, George was the one doing all the pumping because I was in New York when I came back. My daughter called me and said, Dad, you got to get back here. Something's going on. George has been pumping these guys up. Something's going on. When I came back, everybody acted like I had, like I was walking around with sores on my face or something, And I could sense it, you know what I mean? And I thought, what the hell? And that's what I mean about that brotherhood, the greatest lie ever told, because they were campaigning while I was gone. And that's the problem with the club, that campaigning shit they do constantly, nonstop.
Yeah. And if you're out, I've never met anybody who went out in good standing who's still out in good standing from the club. They always
they change that right away. But you know what, Rick? It doesn't really matter that good or that bad, because if you're out even in good, they don't want you fucking around. It's not like you're going to come over and knock on the clubhouse door and say, hey, man, can I come in and have a beer? You don't even come around anymore. People don't even talk to you.
Right.
So good or bad, you're fucked either way. It doesn't really matter.
Well, there's one Hell's Angel I've heard of that went and knocked on the door after he was put out of the club wrong, and gave them all a piece of his mind. Said, "Hey, y'all messed up. Here's the proof."
Oh yeah, Rob did that. Yeah, and there was another one that was going to come to the OM and do that too. His name was Josh, and he ended up going to prison. Did like 19 years. Just like I just told you, he hit me up on Instagram. Now him and I talk all the time.
And that's it. They put all these good dudes, especially dudes like you, and then they hit these young dudes like Angelo. You know, the whole whirlwind of, hey, welcome to the club. Now, boom. Now check it out. This is how we roll, and it leaves nobody else for these guys to go and talk to, and then they hear of you or see of you or know of you, and they reach out to you.
Right. I just I think what's going on right now. I think what's going on right now was probably. I really don't want to make any comments on that stupid shit that happened in Vegas, but that was probably one of the dumbest things to do. But it happened. It's done. It's over with. That's probably going to be the demise of them right there.
Yeah,
and it's going to be pretty. It's going to be pretty hard for them to try to step foot back in that town again. You watch.
Right, and the clubhouse is still there, and that's still an open case. But at the same time, that was the end of it right there, and it all started. The downfall of the red and white in Las Vegas started the day you left, and that's the truth, because you had it sewn up.
I seen somebody on there put, are there HAs and OC? Yeah, there is. I was trying to see some. After I told you about the Canadian guy, some guy wrote under, see, Canadians ain't bad.
I've heard.
They're probably some of the toughest Hells Angels that I knew were, in Europe, Germany. I forget the guy in Germany when he got in a fight with the Banditos and he got hit in the leg with an axe handle. It was sticking in his thigh.
Oh.
And I remember when the ambulance guys got there and they said to him, what happened? Who hit you with an axe? And he said, nobody. I fell on it. And I just, I was in Germany at the time when that was all happening. And I thought that was pretty funny. I fell on it. But it's just a crazy way. And then I think a lot of those Banditos, I think they came our way. I think the HA way, not my way anymore, but they came their way. So I think it was a good thing. I think they could have took over a lot of clubs, but see, all the other big clubs, they do that, and then they don't know who the hell they're getting, and then you got to worry about the garbage that you take when you pick up that whole garbage can. You know what I mean? And it's full.
Absolutely.
You don't know what you're getting, bro. Always want to get quality, not quantity.
It's just changed. It's changed so much since, I remember in the 90s in Vegas alone, but, and now you look and the feds with the Ricos and everything's a Rico now. And
yeah,
the putting all the OGs out of the club, it can't sustain itself. It just can't. How can it? How can it get better?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There was another one. Doc, I can't remember who else. There was another one too that had quite a few years in like that too that left, and it's sad to see him go because a lot of those guys, man, I looked at them like the Hells Angels. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I want to be like them guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I seen you on the podcast with Angelo. And what Angelo said was just about right. I was in a room one time at an OM, and Cisco walked in, And as you know, as Flash was saying in his thing, Cisco was he was a BMF. He was a bad motherfucker, you know. I got it tattooed on my neck, but he was, you know, he was a bad motherfucker. And I love that dude. I used to go listen to doo-wop music with him. But, I mean, just the stories he would tell you, I was just unbelievable, bro. Unbelievable the stories you tell. You know, like how he never prospected. You know what I mean? He went over and shut a whole club down. And that's just the way he rolled. But he was so cool, man. He was like the coolest, man. I was really, when he died, it took a lot out of me because I really love that dude, man. And he was really close to me. And I wish I could have talking to him before he died. But Cisco was a good dude. But I remember one time, Rick, he walked into the OM and he said, "Hey, listen, you new guys got to get off your fucking ass and start doing stuff.
Yeah.
You guys are living off the reputation that we made back in the 60s, 50s, you know, in the 70s. You guys are still living off of it. Get out and do your own stuff. Start making shit happen." You know, I was sitting right there and I looked at the guy next to me and I said, "You know what? He's fucking right. Yep. He's fucking right, man. We need to get out there and get busy and start doing our thing."
That's right. Right. So, like a dying breed. I think your generation, I mean, there's very solid new generation guys coming in. I'm sure of that. But not like before. You know.
Right.
Yeah, everybody, you got a lot of love in here in these comments too. I saw somebody said, what was it? Bassa from Vegas says hello.
Oh my God, Bassa. He used to be my prospect.
There you go. He said, "My dude, do me a favor and tell Peewee Bassa said what's up."
Oh man, I love that dude, man. I used to see him twice when they used to show that show on TV, Cops. Remember Cops?
Yeah.
They always had a picture of Bassa right in front of Caesars getting thrown against the cop car and they're bashing his head in. I told him, "God damn, bro, how many times have I got to see this?" But I'll tell you what, Bassa was I liked him, and I think he would have been a good Hell's Angel. He was just young, and he was going through a lot of financial shit with his kids and his old lady, but he would have been a good member. I know it. I like Bassa, and I remember one time at Mr. D's, he got in a fight. He was a prospect, and he got in a fight with a Vago member. And he whipped his ass, man. I mean, whipped his ass. And then another time on the freeway, Brandon got in a fight with a Vago, and then the Vago knocked his tooth out. And when he came back to the clubhouse, I was laughing at him, and I says, "Well, did you finish the fight?" He says, "No, we had to go. We could hear some sirens coming and shit." So I called up the Vagos, and I told him, "Hey, man, this fight ain't over, man. These guys got to finish this." I made them meet us at a bar, and I gave the girl $50, made her shut the bar down. And they went in the back room. To fight, and I got to laugh, bro, because I'm standing there drinking. I'm drinking water, and he goes to take his cut off, his patch. And he goes to hand it to another member, and a gun falls out on the floor. And I says, "Wow, man, you always bring a gun to a fist fight?" And he said, "Oh, I always carry that gun." And I was like, "Hey, no big deal." So I reached down and I just picked it up and I put it on the table and I said, "No, just keep it there so we could see it." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he says, "Well, I just didn't want my cut on in case I hit the ground and I'm laying on the ground. I don't want to disrespect the patch." I said, "Well, dude, you got a lot of confidence." You know, how many times, Rick, you're going to get in a fight with a guy and tell him, "Hey, man, just don't knock me down so many times, all right?"
Yeah, exactly. Here, let me take this.
So, I thought that was pretty rare and pretty funny. And then they got in a fight, and they were going at it. They were going at it pretty even, Steven. And then all of a sudden, man, they were up against the pool table, and the dude reached up and grabbed a hold of Brandon's balls and started squeezing them, right? So Brandon starts screaming, he's squeezing my balls. And real nonchalant, I took my water down from my lips and I says to one of their presidents, "You guys grabbing his balls? I've been in 250 fights. Nobody's ever grabbed my balls, man. What the fuck's going on here? Why would you guys grab his balls?" Well, just as I was saying that, then Brandon grabbed him by the hair and started kneeing him in the face. And that was pretty much the end of the fight.
Nice.
But yeah, but I think it took Brendan to get that mad. Maybe a little ball squeeze got him going. But yeah, I'll never forget that. But other than that, I never really had any problem with the Vagos. I still have a Vago friend that I call in Vegas, and I talk to him, and I can have whatever friends I want now, Rick. I'm not in that club,
Yes, and that's another thing. You do have former members of other clubs that get a hold of you, and
they all want me to join their clubs. I made a joke. I don't want to say the name of the club, but it was a serious thing with a shooting. That was on TV and shit. While I was in prison, I think it was. And when I got out, the guys got a hold of me and they said, "Hey, we'd love you to come here and be part of our club." And I made a joke, Rick. I said, "I'll do it only if you make me your national president." I was fucking around. And the guy said, "Let me talk to somebody and see what I can do, man." Again, I was like, "Whoa, no, man, I'm fucking around, man. I'm playing, So, I don't want to be the national nothing.
yeah, oh no, for sure. Yeah. Well, look at that. That's how an hour goes right there.
Yeah, wow, man, that was fast.
I told you.
That was fast, brother.
Just jump up
fast,
and it'll go.
So, hey, man, I'm going to have this out on Amazon, so the book will be out, and you read the stories in there. They're good ones, man. So,
absolutely, I'm going to.
You're gonna get one for me. So you just gotta wait. When I order a bunch of them, I'll sign one and I'll get it to you.
Yes, that's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. And then you have the A&E thing, hopefully coming up in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And hopefully this won't be the last time everybody sees you. Get you back.
You'll see me again. You'll see me again, bro.
Yeah. Telling these stories, people love it, man. Listen,
this is probably the first time ever that I've been on a podcast where I've really opened up, and I've been gone 13 years.
Yeah. Well, I'm super proud that it all started with me doing that story, and then you reaching out to me, and then it just snowballed into all this.
Yep.
And I can't be happier to just say, "Hey, man, look, this is Peewee." Everybody meet a real guy, a real just legend.
I remember Sonny said to me one time out in Sturgis, bro, he says, "You know what, Peewee? You're going to have to take over when I die." I said, "Why is that?" "I don't really want to take over anything." And he says, "God damn it." He goes, "You got a bigger line." I had about a block and a half of people waiting to get a picture with me. And he says, "You got more people than I got." I think it was the thing, me being so goddamn big, 6'8", 450 pounds. People are used to like thinking of Hell's Angels as being that size, so.
Yeah.
Like I said, not that I'm shorter, I'm still 6'8", but I'm 310. But I'm trying to get back to size now, hitting the gym, but the older I'm getting, the harder it's getting, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll do this again, bro.
Thank you so much for coming on here, and I'll call you after we get off of here, and we'll talk about how you feel about it.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming and enjoying Peewee, and this just made my year right here. So
thanks, everybody. Peace out.
Salute, guys.
Bye.